Hello, I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I'm here to help you understand the state propositions on your 2024 California election ballot. Today I'm going to talk about Prop 5, the lower supermajority requirement to 55% for local bond measures to fund housing and public infrastructure amendment. Catchy name. If passed, Prop 5 will amend the Constitution to lower the threshold from 66.67% to 55% for local housing and infrastructure bonds. Prop 5 was referred to voters by the California legislature. This legislation would amend the California Constitution, and all constitutional changes require voter approval. The story of Prop 5 begins in 1978 with the passage of Prop 13, which regulates property tax and sets rules for how taxes can be raised in California. Prop 13 requires a two-thirds supermajority to approve local bond measures. When a local government identifies infrastructure improvements they cannot afford to pay for up front, they may seek approval to issue bonds. Bonds essentially work like a loan. We sell the bonds and use the money to build housing or fund other large infrastructure projects. But like any other loan, bonds must be repaid with interest, and those interest payments can trickle down into your property tax bill. Even if you don't own property in California, higher tax costs are often passed down to renters, which is why the authors of Prop 13 created the supermajority requirement. The idea is that since 100% of the local community bears responsibility for bond repayment, at least two-thirds of voters should approve it in the first place. Supporters of Prop 5 say the two-thirds voter threshold is too high, which prevents local communities from building affordable housing. If you think Prop 13 is contributing to California's homeless crisis by limiting the supply of affordable housing, you may want to vote yes on Prop 5. But how does Prop 5 define affordable housing? The amendment describes it as housing developments or portions of housing developments that are affordable to individuals, families, seniors, people with disabilities, veterans, or first-time homebuyers who are lower-income households or middle-income households earning up to 150% of countywide median income. But affordable housing could also include permanent supportive housing, first-time homebuyer programs, down payment assistance programs, and facilities that serve affordable housing residents. Opponents of Prop 5 say that could include just about anything. If you think Prop 5's definition of affordable housing is too broad, you may want to vote no. Prop 5 isn't just about housing. It's also about bonds for public infrastructure, which includes money for things like streets and highways, hospitals and libraries, water quality and wastewater treatment, flood control, parks and rec, broadband internet access, and more. Supporters of Prop 5 point to examples where this infrastructure was needed, but the vote just missed the supermajority threshold. If you think funding infrastructure is more important than keeping property taxes low, you may want to vote yes on Prop 5. Opponents might say that if infrastructure is badly needed within a community, it shouldn't be a problem to get the two-thirds approval needed from voters. If you think that a supermajority should be required before local communities incur large debt loads, you'll want to vote no on Prop 5. Back in the year 2000, voters approved Prop 39, which lowered the threshold for local school and community college bonds from 66.67% to 55%. If you support the idea of Prop 39, you might want to take that a step further and vote yes on Prop 5. On the other hand, Prop 13 was designed to protect residents from high tax rates. Prop 13 is the reason many of us will be able to afford to keep our houses after retirement. If you're afraid that propositions like 39 and 5 are chipping away at the tax protections afforded by Prop 13, you'll definitely want to vote no. If Prop 5 passes, it would require local governments to conduct annual audits to ensure funds are being used as intended. It caps administrative costs of the bond sale from exceeding 5%, and it would prohibit local bond money from being used for government salaries or operating expenses. Most ballot measures that are passed go into effect in the future, but Prop 5 would apply concurrently to any relevant local bond measures on this November's ballot. That means bond measures on the ballot this November that currently require a supermajority will only need 55% approval from voters to pass, if Prop 5 passes. It's important to note that Prop 5 only applies to local bond measures, not to the two state bond measures we're voting on this November, Props 2 and 4. State bond measures require two-thirds supermajority approval in the legislature and regular majority approval from the voters. The Legislative Analyst's Office estimates that if Prop 5 passes, there will be increased borrowing across the state, with borrowed funds repaid with higher property taxes. But it's impossible to predict an exact amount. When we follow the money, we see that as of mid-August, roughly $29 million has been raised by opponents of Prop 5, mostly by political action committees representing realtors and property owners. So far, only $2.5 million has been raised in support of Prop 5, donated by the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation. If this difference holds up through the election, you can expect to see more ads opposing Prop 5 than supporting it. Sometimes you can be swayed by the mere exposure to advertisements, so just remember that one side has more money than the other, and consider all the pros and cons of Prop 5 before making a decision. I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I appreciate you being here with me today. See you soon, California voters. Bye now.